All right, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video, another WNBA playoff video. A little weekend break. We have some games to talk about. We have some new series to talk about. I do want to cover the last series that happened that closed out on, I believe it was Friday, September 19th. Um, uh, Mercury versus the Liberty. I want to talk about that one because I didn't get a chance to talk about it. We'll talk about what's next for the Liberty, and then we'll talk about the two new playoff series that we got from the victors of round one. We have the Aces versus the Fever, and we have the Lynx versus the Mercury. We'll get to all that. I do want to do a little wrap up too as well about the WNBA regular season, talk about the regular season award winners in a little detail. So if you like what I have to say, like the video. If you have your own opinions, comment it down below. And if you just like the vibes, consider subscribing. So WNBA playoffs. The first round finished on Friday, and the last game, the showdown game in Phoenix, the Mercury versus the Liberty, was a game. It happened. The Mercury won this game 79 to the Liberty 73. It was a very interesting game. It was certainly a game. And I'm going to keep saying it was a game because it doesn't feel like it happened. It doesn't feel like the defending champs, the New York Liberty, should be out in the first round. It doesn't feel like that, but it's the truth and it's the reality of the situation. And I did write some notes about this game because when I was watching it, because I knew I'd have to wait all the way till Monday to talk about it, um, and I didn't want to forget anything because I think this is really important. When the reigning champs go out in the first round, there's always something wrong, and you could blame it on 100 different things. You could blame it on um, the players, the coach, the front office, injuries. But let's break down this game, and then we'll circle back to talking about the Liberty and what went wrong for them, and what went right for the Mercury in this game. Um, the start of this game was very interesting because Leonie Fibic got the start this game. Or she's been started. Well, she got the start, but she had more. She was going to have a bigger uh, impact on this particular final game, 3 game series, um, because Coach Sandy Brondello thought, you know what, let me put Leonie Fibic on MVP hopeful Alyssa Thomas of the Phoenix Mercury, and throughout the course of the first maybe like 30 seconds, a minute and a half, Leonie Fibic got a steal. I think she attempted a layup or a shot of some kind, and then she goes down. She goes down. She got hit in the ribs on a play, trying to defend Kalia Copper, and she went down. She looked like she was in a lot of pain. Um, it looked like it was knee to rib cage contact, like bone on bone contact, and it did not look pleasant. She went down. She was in the locker room for like the whole first quarter, and then she came back in the second or towards the end of the first. Um, and then she just didn't look right. She looked kind of out of it. She looked like she just couldn't get her feet back under her. And my first note here of the actual like game, me watching the game, I did this quarter by quarter, so this is literally an order of my thoughts throughout the game. So some of these might change, but this is my genuine reaction to the game as was going on. I said Liberty looks slow, out of it. Stewie looks better than before. The 3-point shot, looking slightly better as well. This is going to become a theme. There are two really standout people, and there's somebody who's just dead in the middle. Well, no, there's actually 3 people that were really bad. The person who I didn't think would really show up this game because she was injured, Brianna Stewart. 30 points, 2 blocks, 2 steals, 3 assists, 9 rebounds, 5 personal fouls. Not great. 12 of 15, 2 of 3, 8 of 17. She, as I would like to call it, emptied the clip. She was like, if I'm gonna go down, I'm gonna go down swinging. We're gonna go out shooting. We're gonna try to at least make this game competitive, and it was competitive for a majority of the game. And hats off to her. I did not believe that she had her best season this season. I don't believe she had her best series this season, this postseason. Even though it was 3 games, it was those are very important games, and um this is the game they should have had in game. This is the game she should have had in game 2. And I know she was injured. She said she felt a lot better going into game three versus going into game two because there was a bit more of a gap between the games. But the importance of the game, I think, got away from the Liberty, and they I want to say they got scared. Scared isn't the right word. They got into their heads too much. You could have closed it out at home. You didn't. You let the fans down. You let everybody down. You let yourselves down. And then you have to go into Phoenix and try to win it in Phoenix when you know that the rest of the team really isn't feeling it either. And what I mean by the rest of the team is, again, like I said, Leone Fibrich, um, vaguely injured. I would say this game in particular. Only 3 points, made 1 3, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 personal foul, 1 turnover. Just a nothing burger. Um, the middle of the pack player who did not shoot it well this game, has not particularly shot it well all season. And I've harped on this all season about Sabrina Nescu. And I've said she just doesn't look right. Like her game doesn't feel good. Like she doesn't look like she's playing her best version of herself. And this game was, I think, a culmination of that. She was trying to do what Brianna Stewart was doing and empty the clip and just try to go down firing, go down shooting, but she couldn't. 22 points, 4 personal fouls, 2 turnovers, 4 turnovers, 2 personal fouls, 4 assists, 6 rebounds, 3 of 12 from three. Took some unnecessary shots. 8 of 19 overall from field goal in 37 minutes. I, I respect the effort of trying. I can never knock somebody for trying, but man, this was a rough watch for somebody. I've been watching Sabrina since she was at Oregon, and I've watched her on some really bad New York Liberty teams. And at times, this felt when it was just Sabrina and it was no Brianna was on the bench because she was in foul trouble, or um, they just had her on the bench for rest. This looked like one of those Sabrina teams early on in her career where nobody knew what they were doing except Sabrina, and Sabrina just had to like get the shots up. Um, the two people I'm really looking at this game in particular. Overall, the other person I'm going to talk about had a better series, had a slightly better series, but Natasha Cloud, 7 points, 4 steals, 2 assists, three rebounds, 3 personal fouls, 4 turnovers. One, I'm gonna respect that she didn't chuck the shots. She was 1 of 2 from three, 2 of 6. She didn't chuck the shots. She knew her primary assignment was to defend um, the guards that were out there for the Phoenix Mercury. But and I hate using the word. I hate using the phrase. This person needs to step up. This person needs to step up. I hate using that phrase because it's so innocuous. It's so like boring. Um, but you did need Natasha Cloud to step up because I've said it. I said it throughout the course of the season, and I said it before this game as well. And I've said it about other series and other teams where two players were really doing it, and the rest of the team just didn't show up. Um, if it's only Brianna and Sabrina, you need a third person to do something. Do something, and nobody else did anything on the offensive end. The biggest victim of this and the biggest perpetrator of this was John Quill Jones. 3 points, 5 personal fouls, threw a tantrum on the court, 4 assists, 8 rebounds, 0 of 5 from three, 1 of 10 from field goal in 33 minutes. And if I was a coach, I would have just yanked her ass. There's no reason for you to be out there if you're just gonna stand out there. To be one of the taller players on the court and only have 8 rebounds in a closeout game is disgraceful. It's disgraceful. Um, and we'll get to the bench in a minute, but those are all the starters for you: Brianna, Leone, John Quill Jones, Natasha Cloud, and Sabrina. Only Brianna and Sabrina were in double digits and plus 20 points. Nobody else got near. There were a couple people near 10 points. Nobody else got near 20, and that's what really cost them the game. Um, And I said in my notes here when I was watching the game, I said Jonquil Jones looks really bad, smoking easy layups. Like she would get in the paint and like what normally like she would like bump and then go up with it, like try to get the person out of the way, and she was just throwing it up. She was just throwing it up. Rush shots, terrible shots. Um, this was in I believe this was in like the first quarter here. I said Sabrina eh. Sabrina was just and this is before we knew the true field goal percentage at the end of the game. But going throughout the course of the game, I was like, she doesn't look great. She doesn't look terrible, but she don't look great. Um, this is a note about the Mercury here. Um, Satu was chucking up shots um, through the first half. Yeah, Satu Sabali was throwing up shots, and I mean, we'll get to Satu here in a minute. She actually ended up with a really good stat line here, but this was in the first half, and she just looked like she was chucking up shots. Um, and more about the Mercury was they looked good. The Mercury looked so good. They were passing the ball around. At was getting in the paint. Alyssa Thomas was getting in the paint, dishing it out. Um, and one of the biggest things, and again, I'm gonna harp on John Cole Jones here because she's one of the taller players on this team. Brianna Stewart does deserve a little hate for this as well, because she only had 9 rebounds. But I'm gonna give Stewart a pass because she had 30 points. She was doing the other half of that. She was focused on the other half of the court. The New York Liberty lost the fight in the rebounding department. They just looked like they didn't care about the rebounds. They just looked like, oh, the rebounds are going to fall to us. We're not going to go get them. And the Mercury were like, no, we are going to go get every single freaking rebound. And they did. Um, the rebound, I want to see the rebound disparity between these two teams. Let me see here. So the Mercury almost had 50 rebounds, and the Liberty only had 33. That's crazy. That's a crazy number. Um, this is when Sabrina started heating up, and the team started looking a little bit better. Like they might be able to just fight and claw enough of the way to get to round two. I said way better for the Liberty to close out the second half, to close out the half. Um, Sabrina was huge. Um, this is the other note I had at the end of the game, towards the end of the game. End of the third quarter, Stewie has 4 fouls. That was huge. Um, and then I had another John Quell Jones note here that said John Quell Jones is cooked, too many fouls and too many bad plays, and that was about it. That was it for my notes about John Quell Jones. And then I said, I think this was at the beginning of the fourth or the end of the third. I had said third was much more competitive. Stewart and Alyssa Thomas going at it. It was very that was the most interesting thing of the whole night was Alyssa Thomas and Brianna Stewart going at it. And then I think I said by the end of the third, um, the Liberty are going home for sure. I knew I didn't even need to watch the last quarter to know them girls were going home, and that was just it. Um, they weren't playing enough good basketball, and there were no big buckets for anybody else besides Brianna Stewart, and the champs went out sad. And yeah, those are my notes from the night. We can dive into the numbers for the Mercury here for a little bit, just to tell you how good this team was and how much of a spanking they gave the Liberty here. Alyssa Thomas, 20 points, five turnovers, 1 block, 2 steals, 11 assists, 11 rebounds, triple double. Um, 7 of 18, not great, but not terrible. Um, Satu Savali, 23 points, 3 assists, 1 block, 2 steals, 12 rebounds, 4 of 9 from three, 9 of 14. If you know anything about Satu, you know she's gonna throw that thing up. She's just gonna throw it up and hope it goes in. Sometimes it was going in a majority of this night, but not particularly too much, but enough to help sustain their lead. Khalid Copper, 12 points. Not her best game field goal wise, but the effort was there. 9 rebounds. And just did some okay stuff defensively. Um, Monique, 4 points, 3 assists, 3 rebounds. Pretty steady game for the rookie. And then the bench, you didn't get a lot off the bench except for Cindy Whitcomb, 13 points, 2 of 6 from three, 3 of 9. Just being almost a distraction at times because they knew they had to guard Sammy. The Liberty knew they had to guard Sammy. They didn't want her to get hot, and she would drag some of the attention away from the other players to get them open. So it was a welcome sight for Sammy. And yeah, that's pretty much it. We're gonna talk about the Mercury more in the latter half of this video, talking about um, the other stuff that they did well to get to the second round. But I do want to talk about the Liberty a little bit more because they're out. The champs are done. There's been a lot of questions arising about this team and about the makeup of this team, and I've been very critical of them all year. If you watched any of my videos, I had this peg from the beginning that they just didn't look right. Even when they were healthy, even when they won games, it didn't feel like a championship win. They didn't feel like championship wins. They didn't feel like a team that was unstoppable, you know? And this whole off season, this past one, um, all we heard about was the Liberty are so good. They have so much talent, this and that, and they were injured. A lot of their players were in and out. Brianna Stewart was in and out. John Cole Jones was out. Natasha Cloud was the only one I think who played a majority of the games. Even Sabrina rested at the end of the season. Um, didn't play. Understandable. But this team never felt right to me, and I could never put my finger on it. And Sabrina never felt right to me. Stewart had the. I can objectively say this now. Nobody's gonna get mad at me. She had the worst year of her career. It was absolutely abysmal. Needs to look in the mirror and ask herself, can she really play at a competitive level again? I don't know. This was even before she got injured, and she was shooting a terrible percentage from three. The three is the first thing to go when you start to age. By the way, or if you, the three is the first thing to go if you're not used to taking them at a volume that you need to take them as you do when you get older to preserve your career and preserve your longevity. And she's only 31, and she I don't think at any time she was ever the best player in the league, but she was always good enough to be a ceiling raiser for a championship team. She did it in Seattle. She's done it with Olympic teams as well. Very good in the Olympics, and she did it with the New York Liberty for that 1 year. Now my question becomes, um, what can this team do? And the people online immediately the first thing people do, GMs do, owners do, you got to blame the coach. And some people had very constructive criticisms of Sandy and saying that when John Core Jones was in foul trouble and she just didn't look like she had it, she should have put Isabel Harrison in, who I did not realize hadn't played this whole game. And seeing that and seeing other people talk about it, I was like, yeah, Izzy should have gotten some minutes. Um, Marina Johannes buried on the bench. I think this whole series, people were like crying for her to, well, crying like begging Sandy to put her out there just for the energy, to just try to get something out of them, something out of this team, and then she didn't. I think the constructive criticism of Sandy is um, valid. But my question always is when a fan base asks for a coach's job and be like, fire this person. If you fire this person, is there a better coach out there? I don't think there is. And this is the gift and the curse of the rotating door of any league that recycles coaches is um, the talent pool just gets so small unless you want to take a gamble on like a college coach or an overseas coach. And the Liberty are in win now mode. Um, Not to say there is no future, but there is no future. This is the future. You're in the future right now. This is the championship window. You got embarrassed in the first round. There are little to no excuses besides, oh, we were injured. Everybody's had to deal with injuries. Everybody's had to deal with roster changes. Um, that's not a valid excuse. Um, I think at times I have been a bit harsh on this team, but for good reason. With the fact being that the WNBA pushed them as like they're gonna repeat. There's no chance they don't repeat. Look at all the talent they have. Look at all this. Look at all that. I never bought it. I never thought they looked right. Um, the question herein lies: what could they do roster wise? Um, there's going to need to be some decisions made at some point. I think if you have to make a decision between the big three and adding some depth, I think you axe John Cole Jones and just let her walk. I know she was the Finals MVP from the year previous. I know she's a regular season MVP from many years ago. Um, but she didn't look like she had it, and it wasn't even the injuries that she looked bad. She just looked like she wanted it anymore. You know, Brianna Stewart looked like she still wanted it. Sabrina looked like she still wanted it. Jonquil Jones didn't look like she wanted it anymore. She looked like she was ready for it to be given to her, you know. And I equated one of these other players on the Liberty, Emma Missiman, to Andre Iguodala on the Warriors. That she was the missing piece for this team, and was going to be a glue piece. And she looked terrible. I don't know if it was just the matchup this season with the Phoenix Mercury, but Emma looked terrible. 3 assists, 2 rebounds, 0 points, one personal foul, 9 minutes. Just didn't have it. Um, and yeah, there's some immediate conversations of you need more depth on this team. Um, more competitive depth. Like if John Jonquil Jones gets in the foul trouble, where's the backup? Is he the backup? Is Isabel Harrison the backup? I would like to think so, but at a championship level, is Isabel Harrison your answer? A small ball five? I don't think so. There's some very quick and brief conversations I've seen online of maybe Angel Reese in New York. I don't know what value Angel Reese has. I don't know what the Liberty would be willing to give up because the Sky obviously wants something for Angel Reese. Um, I don't think they've been impressed by anybody on this team after this playoff run has left a bad taste in everybody's mouth. So this is the price you pay of having this team like this and having a disappointing exit and players looking bad. Their value tanks, and you're not going to be able to get anything for them. There are also a lot of free agents lingering on this team. Those questions need to be answered. Brianna Stewart already said she's coming back. Sabrina's, I think, locked up for another year or so they don't have to worry about that. There are a couple other names that you need to watch on this team, but free agency wise, I think they'd be able to get some people. There is the CBA that needs to get negotiated, so we'll see what happens there. There is the expansion draft that needs to happen, so we'll see how wrecked this team gets. And yeah, let's move on to yesterday, Sunday. Like I had alluded to, we have round two games to get to. We have the Las Vegas Aces versus the Indiana Fever, and we have the Minnesota Lynx versus the Phoenix Mercury. But first, I do want to take a little pause and fill you guys in on some awards so we can make sure we all have our ducks in a row. I will talk about MVP in its own video tomorrow. Because it's a big topic, and I think it's a little controversial. Not controversial, it's a hot topic. So I do want to talk about that. Let me see if I can find this post that they made. They had all the award winners, and now they've removed it, unfortunately. So now I have to go digging for it. One moment. Found it. All right, just to run through the awards one more time before we get into the second round matchups. You had Veronica Burton from the Golden State Valkyries as most improved, Paige Beckers as Rookie of the Year, Coach of the Year Nale Nasake, much deserved. That's 2 awards for the um, Golden State Valkyries. I always want to say Golden State Warriors. Valkyries just doesn't roll off the tongue. Um, and then we had co-defensive player of the years for the first time in WNBA history. Asia Wilson and Alana Smith, much deserved. There's a lot of, oh boy, people online are just so upset about this from both parties. I don't like the thing. I think Alana should have gotten it straight up, but that's neither here nor there. Um, you have sixth player of the year who's at home currently. Well, almost all these almost all these teams are at home, and all these players are at home now. Nas Hamlin, who people also are like should have won it. There's always gonna be discourse about this stuff. And then this weekend we had most valuable player unveiled, and it was my girl, my Las Vegas ace, um, Asia Wilson, now a 4-time MVP, the only 4-time MVP in WNBA history, the second back-to-back MVP. I think it was Cheryl Swoops who did it back to back before. No, it was Cynthia Cooper. Pardon me. Yeah, Cynthia Cooper, back to back. Angel Reese joins her as the only back to back league MVPs in history, and we'll talk about that a little bit later in the week, actually tomorrow. But I just wanted to roll through that because I thought it was important to talk about this because there's a lot of big names in these final four matchups, final two matchups, and final four teams. So yeah, let's roll into Aces versus Fever. My Fever versus the Aces, or my Aces versus the Fever. um, where do I start? Again, I always like to preface these conversations when I talk about the Aces. Is I'm a homer. I'm an Aces fan. I've been an Aces fan since they were the San Antonio Stars. So I have a lot of pride in this team. I have a lot of joy in this team, especially when it comes to Asia and seeing her growth, seeing the other girls on this team, the other women on this team. And last night or last evening, I was very disappointed in this team. And I've grown very concerned about this team because the Las Vegas Aces lost this game. The Indiana Fever scored 89 and the Las Vegas Aces scored 73. At one point, I think it was a 30-point deficit, 20-point deficit. I turned it off at the end of the fourth quarter. It was just embarrassing. It was an embarrassing game. Um, and the biggest thing that stuck out to me was two things. One, the Aces looked like they did in the beginning of the year, where it was just Asia Wilson trying to do everything and nobody else could do anything. Even if the numbers look relatively good for like a Chelsea Gray or Jackie Young, they didn't play well. It didn't feel good. It didn't feel like a good game. Um, well, three things stuck out to me, but we'll get to that in a minute. The Aces looked like they did in the beginning of the year, just lost, just a team without a soul, just a team without any effort, and a team that looked slow, and a team that looked like they did not have any momentum whatsoever throughout any course of this game besides the opening ceremony where Asia Wilson got her MVP. That was the last happy moment of yesterday for the Las Vegas Aces and their fans. The second thing was for the Fever, Kelsey Mitchell instantaneously combusted, just like went up in flames in the most positive way possible for Fever fans. 34 points, the most in franchise history, I think it was. Most points scored in franchise history, or it might have been league history. I don't know. I was so upset with the way we guarded her. I just didn't want to look at anything that involved Kelsey Mitchell. Um, she got them shots up 12 to 23, split her shots, 4 of 6 from three, 6 of 6 from field goal, from free throw, pardon me, 3 assists, 2 steals, 3 turnovers, um, just possessed. Um, they really only needed Kelsey Mitchell. And I kept saying to myself when I was watching this game, I was like, yo, just throw a double at her. Make her think. Just build a wall. Throw three at her. Like nobody else had it going and nobody else could hit a three, you know? So why didn't we just double it? Why didn't we just suffocate her? Just make her really feel the presence of this bigger Las Vegas Aces team. Because they did the exact opposite. The Fever made the Las Vegas Aces play at their pace, get out in transition, and just be an annoyance. And the Aces just didn't have any of that. Odyssey Sims, who wasn't on this team 3 months ago, 17 points, 3 steals, 3 assists, 2 rebounds. Did not make a three. Did not need to take any more threes because the paint was just wide open. Um, just an embarrassing performance from the Las Vegas Aces and their guards. Um, and I've alluded to this a little bit in the season when the Aces were really down and they weren't even look like they were going to make the playoffs. But I allude to the fact that this Aces team really can't guard high-powered and fast guards. Chelsea Gray, Chelsea Gray is a little bit too old. Her knees are fucking bending in on themselves. She can't keep up with these guys, with these young girls, with these young women. Jackie Young is probably the only one, but she had 5 turnovers, 3 personal fouls. That's not a way to keep yourself on the floor. Um, Jewel Lloyd just isn't a great transition defender. I think she's a great like half court defender, not a great full court defender. Dana Evans is just only okay at times, and it was an embarrassing night for the Aces as a team that is the higher seed that has the MVP. I felt like they didn't take this game seriously enough. And I don't get how teams like the Dream, who the Fever defeated in the first round, like the Aces, my Aces, don't take a team like this Fever team seriously. Like, you think you can just walk over them? I think you need to look at this team and like even mind trick yourself and then be like, oh, they've won a championship. Let's go beat them. They're the champs, right? That's the goal. That should be the end goal. And this Aces team just looked deflated. They looked bad. It was embarrassing. I don't cut off games usually like that. Like I don't like if a team's getting blown out, I usually just watch the end of the game. I couldn't watch this game. It was disgusting. It was terrible. Um, and the Fever looked like a team that wanted to be there. And the Aces just look like, oh yeah, they're the Fever. They're the what are they? They're the freaking I don't know what they are. They're the one of the lower seeds. We're just gonna take this at home. It's a 5 game series. They're like we have a potential to play 5 more games. No, and I've preached this in the first one as well. You need to get these guys out of here. You can't let them take a game like this in your house because it's gonna come back later in the series, and they're gonna be like, oh, we won game one. We can just win it again here. That's the problem with these lower seeds teams. They get this stuff in their head, they get this stuff in their brain, and they're like, "Oh, we've done it before, we can do it again." And that is such a mind trick that never gets out of your head. Where they're like, "They beat us at home, they beat us at home, they beat us at home." Now you need to go into their house and beat them at home. And I don't know if you can do it. I don't know if you can do it. This is the problem. Like there are many issues that arise when you lose game one at home. You lose game two at home, cool, fine. You're like, hey, we got one, we split them, fine. We go into their house, we go up 2-1, we come back here, we come back here, or we beat them twice at their house, cool, fine. But losing game one in your house is embarrassing. Um, one of the bigger factors why the Aces lost is Aaliyah Boston. My girl Aaliyah Boston, the only Fever player I like that's left. Like I actually like. I'm not gonna like bandwagon on other Fever players. I know I've been a big fan of Aaliyah Boston, and she took a huge step this year, offensively, but defensively, man, this game, Aaliyah Boston was clamping down on on the 4-time MVP Asia Wilson. She was clamping down. It was kind of crazy. At times, it's like, wait a minute, this isn't the 4-time MVP? It looked like Aaliyah Boston was like bullying a rookie at times. 11 rebounds, 5 assists, no blocks and no steals, only 6 points. But Aaliyah Boston put all the effort in defensively on Asia Wilson. And we'll get to the Aces here now. You had 4 people in double digits. Asia Wilson, 16 points, 6 of 22. A terrible game. Um, 13 rebounds, 4 personal fouls, 3 turnovers, 4 blocks. Chelsea Gray, 13 points, 4 assists, 5 rebounds, 5 of 12, field goal, 2 of 5 from three. Had a couple really good threes when they could have cut the lead down, but they just couldn't get it back. They couldn't get the lead back down. Jackie Young, 9 of 16, 1 of 5, 19 points, 7 rebounds. Again, her rebounding has been really good this whole postseason. Um, 2 assists, 5 turnovers, 3 fouls. The only other person in double digits was Dana Evans, and it was 6 of 9, 1 of 1 from three in 23 minutes, 14 points. And it was so funny because you knew it was bad when Coach Becky Hammond was like had to pull people off the bench that hadn't played in like forever. Like I looked up and I saw Megan Gustafson actually playing, and she played like 8 minutes. I was like, wait a minute, Becky Hammond hasn't played her in like 2 months. She hasn't played Megan in like 2 months. She was like, I guess go out there and try something, and she tried, but nothing happened. Um, Very disappointing losses for my Aces. As a fan, as like a doomer fan, as somebody who always thinks the worst, I don't know how you beat this Fever team. I really don't. I think you really have to put the fear of tough physical play in on this team. And I'm not saying injure somebody. I'm not saying doing anything dirty, but you got to knock some people to the floor. You gotta show some heart. You gotta show some hustle. You gotta throw a couple bows. You know, break a nose, something insignificant. Like you gotta really go out there and say, hey, whoa, 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 you got one game. That's cool. Slow down. That's the only thing you can do. Otherwise, I think um, besides the 4-time MVP, um, The Aces are literally just the Fever without Asia Wilson. That's literally what they are, but worse. Um, when Asia Wilson wasn't out there was like a couple minutes where she wasn't out there. This team looked terrible. Looked terrible. Um, but yeah, shout out Kelsey Mitchell. Shout out Aaliyah Boston. Shout out Ossie Sims. They took the Aces to the mattresses and they put the beat down. And I don't know how the Aces weren't prepared for this. They just didn't look prepared at times as well. Really sloppy game from the Aces. Really sloppy game. Moving on. Let's talk about the Lynx versus the Mercury. Quick here at the end. A little longer of a video. I'm sure you guys won't mind though. Oh, I forgot to mention. Sorry. Kelsey Mitchell was like fifth in MVP voting, by the way. Just so we get an idea of who Kelsey Mitchell is. Kelsey Mitchell's on the left of your screen as well. Jackie Young, Asia Wilson on the left side of your screen as well. I forgot to mention that. And on the right side of your screen, you have Satu Sabali and Courtney Williams, and the runner-up MVP on the right side to the left of Courtney Williams, or the right, her right, our left, um, Nafisa Collier on your right. Um, this Minnesota Lynx and Mercury game was a quite peculiar game because this was the latter game, I believe, in the night, right? Yeah, this was the latter game. Yeah, this was the latter game. This was the nightcap game. Um, coming off that Aces Fever game where the Aces just got trounced, they got embarrassed. This looked like a really competitive game throughout the course of the game. Um, the Minnesota Lynx are without Dejanay Carrington. She's gonna miss the rest of the playoffs with a foot injury. That was felt this game. Some parts of this game. Other times this game, it felt like they didn't need her. Um, this was a full effort from the Minnesota Lynx, and with the Aces looking like they did last night with the reigning champs Liberty out, with the Lynx firing on all cylinders, they look like they're headed for a championship, and it really felt like it last night. Kayla McBride, 21 points. Nafisa Collier only 18, but everybody else picked up the slack. Courtney Williams, 23. 7 assists, 8 rebounds. That's what I need from Courtney Williams. 5 steals, only one personal foul, 11 for 19 overall from field goal, 1 of 2 from three. Nafisa Kali was 2 of 6 from three, 8 of 16 from field goal. Um, those were the only big time scores, but the rest of this team really felt competitive. They felt really good. Bridget Carlton, 5 points, 3 assists, 8 rebounds. Um, really sturdy work. Just being a paint patroller, being a paint deterrent. Same thing from Alana Smith, Defensive Player of the Year winner. Um, 4 points, 3 assists, 6 rebounds. Not a lot offensively, but defensively, she really tried her hardest. She did really well. Um, all around game. Very happy with the way she played this game. Um, Jessica Shepard, same thing. Um, Maria, oh geez, I don't want to butcher her name. They said it on the broadcast, and I still can't say it. 4 points last night, and then Natisha Heidemann, 5 points. Not her best game. The things that worry me about this team in particular, I mentioned it before we knew Dejanay was out for the whole season, the whole rest of the postseason, was the minutes with um, Courtney Williams and Natisha Hyman out there, a smaller backcourt. When they don't have it going, I get quite worried. But I don't think that's going to be a problem this series. Um, I think I think what the coach is doing this game for the Lynx is very good. Staggering the minutes, playing some people that wouldn't normally play, but you kind of have to play because the Mercury do have some bigger bodies, so you just run them out there and hope they don't get in foul trouble and hope they can stay sturdy and stay really good in those minutes. And this Lynx team looks like they're on a mission, man. They look really good. Um, I don't have a lot of negative things to say about the way they played. I mean, I think the 3 point shot's going to come and go. Kayla McBride is going to be really dependent on to sustain these leads and grow these leads. 4 of 9 is something you really need to see this series throughout. Um, but they won this game, man, 82-69, and the same thing for the Mercury. There wasn't a lot of bad things. It was just they got outplayed, and at times there was a lot of one dimensional players. Sammy Whitcomb, who was very big last series for them, like I talked about, really didn't feel like she had an impact this series. The Lynx felt like they had her figured out game one after like the first half. Um, Natasha Mack, same thing. A pure defender, really nothing offensively. They really just could say, hey, try it, go for it. Um, Monique, same thing. They kind of had it figured out. I mean, Monique's a rookie, but they were like, I dare you, rookie, try something. And they would just let her try it. Um, Dewana Bonner, awful game. Awful game. Only 9 rebounds, no points, no assists, no steals, no blocks, 2 assists, 0 of 3 from three. They felt like they had her figured out too. They're like, bet Dewana, just get hot, and then we'll guard you. um, Catherine Westbed, nothing much really, 0 points, a donut. And it was really the big three. And the big three showed up, and then in those extra minutes where they had to fill it in, they really couldn't fill it out. Satu Sabli, 10 points, uh, 11 of, well, 3 of 11, didn't make any threes. Um, Another player, the Lynx were like, we dare you, try to get hot. We dare you. She did have 2 steals, 3 assists, 6 rebounds, so a pretty okay game, I guess. Um, Alyssa Thomas, 18 points, 3 steals, 7 assists, 8 rebounds. Alyssa Thomas is going to have to deal with a lot more physicality, a lot more bigger bodies this series compared to the series before against the Liberty. They have a lot to throw at her, so it's going to be interesting to see how she adapts. Um, Third and fourth in MVP voting, Alyssa Thomas. And then you had Clea Copper, who was one of the very few spots where I don't think the Lynx had her figured out yet. I think throughout the course of the series, there's going to be give and pull with this Lynx team with how good defensively they are and who they're going to focus in on. But Clea Copper was the one that got away. This game in particular, 22 points, leading score for, um, almost leading score for the game, leading score only for the team, 22 points. Um, only one, only 2 turnovers, 1 personal foul, um, 2 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 of 8 from three, 10 of 23 from field goal. Not her best outing, but enough to keep this game competitive and keep it close. There were times where you thought that the Mercury could come back, but they didn't. And I think what did I say this series could go? I think I said 5 or 4. What did I don't even remember what I said. This is looking like maybe a 4 game series. Maybe. I think that's what I said. Maybe I don't remember. I don't even remember what I said. I don't think it's gonna be a sweep. I think the Mercury are gonna have a little bit of help at home with the crowd and everything, but I, I don't know. This feels like this series could go all the way. And both these teams, whoever comes out of these matchups, Fever Aces and Lynx Mercury, they're gonna be beat up. They're gonna be battle tested, and it's gonna be a very interesting finals. But we'll wait to talk about that. Um, that is the end. That's the end of the video. Like I said, we're gonna talk about MVP, and maybe some of the other awards tomorrow. That deserves its own video. I know this video will be long by itself. So yeah, that is it. Wrapping up the first round, talking about the game ones of the first two semis. And yeah, so yeah, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. This has been a great playoff so far. Um, Great playoffs. And yeah, like, comment, subscribe. That's all I have to say. I don't even know where I'm going with this, but yeah, thank you for watching, and I will see you all next time. Cheers.